Well, it's a beautiful morning in the first week of October, and I'm just walking through our Grenache, examining it before we harvest. It's almost ready, and what's nice about this patch of Grenache is just how beautifully the fruit is hanging here. Now, what you're seeing is the morning sun on what we call the morning side of the vine row. This is the side that faces east. It's really easy to see the fruit because we've removed all the leaves from this area because sunlight helps grapes ripen. But the afternoon side, when it's hot out, the sun's hitting it, that can be a problem because you get raisins. So we'll look at it's shaded, but you can see it's a lot harder to see the vines or the grapes on this side of the vine because we leave the leaves in place to protect the fruit from the afternoon sun. Now, this fruit looks really open and it's hanging nicely. We don't have any clusters lumping on top of each other, but that's because we've thrown a lot of the fruit away. Grenache tends to have too big of a crop. And this is a good example shoot. You'll see here's a cane coming up. Here's its first cluster right there, and here's a second cluster attached to it. That's normal for a grapevine. It wants to throw two clusters, typically. But these clusters are pretty big. Grenache is a fecund varietal. Look at these canes next to it. Look at this cane here. He's only got one cluster. Same for this cane. In fact, all of these canes only have about one cluster. That's because early in the season, about 2 months ago, we went through and cut off all that extra fruit because we want to control the yield in this patch, and we don't want too much fruit here. These are relatively young vines. They're still growing, and also we get better quality fruit by having a limited yield. Now let's look here. You can see some of these grapes as we get really close here. See, they're starting to get a little bit saggy. We're getting some raisins forming and stuff. That's when you see a grape that's really ready for harvest. That's what I'm looking for here. If we were to chomp up a couple of these berries and spit out the seeds, you'd see that the seeds are nice and brown now. They're fully ripe. You can also see these green rachis here. They're starting to show some color. They're what I call ripe stems. The tannins in the stems are starting to have some woody flavor and a little bit less of that astringency that we associate with green grape stems. Now, these are all the signs of vines and fruit that are ready to pick and are going to make the best quality wine.